Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 1721.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. Today I'm in Abington, Virginia, with a very special guest by the name of Larry McClure. Larry, welcome to Cars Yeah, my friend. Are you buckled up and ready for a fun ride?
Mark, I sure am. Looking forward to this. Looking forward to promoting my beautiful cars I got to sell here at the Mecum auction. I think it's January the 15th.
Yeah, actually, I think it starts on the 7th in a few days, goes through the 16th. That's kind of the period of time. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Actually, we're going to talk a lot about that. As we know, people that have car collections, at a certain point, it's time to let them go and move on to something new. So we'll learn about that. But before I give you a proper introduction, is there maybe one little thing that people may not know about you these days?
Well, I'm sure there's a lot, but I just want people to know how grateful and thankful that I am that I've had a little bit of success in my life, and I sure want to give all that glory to Jesus Christ. So I don't know if they know that or not, but that's my story.
They know it now. And you know what, Larry? I've learned after talking to 1,700 plus people here today, being grateful is the key to success in life. I think you know this because you've been around for a while. When you wake up every day and you're grateful for what you have, no matter how big or small it might be, it's going to be a great day. I think you're a guy who's already figured that out.
Yeah, I've had to bump my hind end down the steps, you know, when you think you're bigger than you are, and it hurts coming down those steps. So I've learned a lot of lessons. Yeah.
Well, that's a fun way to put it. Well, let me give you a proper introduction, and we're going to talk about this collection of vehicles that you have up for sale. Larry McClure has been a car guy since birth. He found a way to merge his love for cars into his passion for racing. He and his three brothers formed a successful partnership along with a business associate, Tim Morgan, and they built a winning NASCAR team known as Morgan-McClure Motorsports, and they won 14 NASCAR Cup races. Larry also built a successful chain of car dealerships in Southwest Virginia. Their success allowed them to garner a very impressive collection of cool old cars. You know what? The McClure Collection is a group of 27 American classic cars, muscle cars, and trucks that are going to be offered by my friends at Mecum at the Kissimmee 2021 auction. Starts and runs through January 7th through the 16th, so it's coming up very soon. If you want to be part of this bidding and get your hands on one of these very cool cars, you can go to Mecum.com, sign up today, and you know what? One of these McClure cars might end up in your garage. We'll be back in a minute to talk with Larry, but first a word from our valued sponsors that make this show possible, so sit tight, keep the seatbelts on. We're going to be at the auction buying some cars today. We'll be right back. You've heard me talk about Covercraft here on Cars Yeah since I began bringing you inspiring automotive enthusiasts over 6 years ago. Covercraft is a company I've trusted to protect my vehicles since I was in high school. But did you know they've been in business longer than that? Covercraft was founded in 1965. You don't stay in business for over 55 years without providing your customers with superior quality, innovative solutions, and a massive breadth of selections and categories when it comes to protection. Their custom fit car covers are just the start. Covercraft offers covers for cars, trucks, ATVs, boats, outdoor furniture, seats, trunk, floors, dashes, masks for the front of your rides, and a whole lot more. And here's something special just for you from me. Use the code YEAH120 at covercraft.com and you'll get 10% off your Covercraft order. That's right, 10% off. Simply use the code YEAH120. That's YEAH120 at checkout. Covercraft, protecting the things that move you. American Collectors Insurance. That's who now protects my Porsche Turbo, the one I call my Orange Crush. They've been protecting vehicles since 1976. With all the time, effort, and money you've put into your classic vehicles, do you know how much you would receive if yours was stolen, damaged, or totaled in an accident or a fire? Your regular auto insurance carriers won't tell you until after the claim, and more than likely, you'll be in for a rude awakening. With an agreed value policy from American Collectors Insurance, you'll be paid your vehicle's full agreed value. No surprises. So don't just hope for a fair claim settlement. Be certain and know exactly what you'll get with an agreed value policy. I shopped around and decided to protect my car with American Collectors Insurance. Give them a call today for a quote at 866-ACI. Yeah, that's 866-224-9324 and protect the ones you love. Tell them Mark Green at Cars Yeah sent you. That's American Collectors Insurance. Classic car insurance designed by collectors for collectors, folks just like you and me. All right, Larry, we're back. And before we talk about this collection of cars you're letting go, I always ask my guests if there's some kind of a success quote in your life, a saying, a mantra, some kind of thing that helped you build your success in racing in your car dealerships. I like to say it's a nice way to get those wheels smoking a little bit. Since you were a NASCAR guy, you saw a lot of tire smoke. So Larry, take the wheel. Give us a little success quote, a little mantra here to start the show off.
Well, I tell you, people have got to know that you care about them. And I always try to impress that upon people. And not only do you make friends with them, but you let them know that they can trust you and you will do what you say. And that's been pretty much the way I've got into car business. I started out in the used car business. Then I got into new car business and then got into racing. And those are some things that I've tried to instill in the people around me. So people come back to us for a lot of different reasons, and most of them is because they can trust us and they know we'll take care of them.
Well, that's key, especially in the car business. Definitely, you have to show some trust, and the business has changed so much. You go back to the years that you had a car business, and then you fast forward to the car business today. It is so radically different. And everything has changed. The consumers know a lot more about cars. But during this process of building your car industry, your car business, I should say, you got into racing for a while. And I want to touch on that just a little bit before we talk about these cars you're going to sell. Morgan-McClure Motorsports, the NASCAR days. I mean, this is back in the 80s when you guys were running. And, I say the 80s and it doesn't seem that long ago to me because I'm an older guy too. But that was a while ago. Tell me a little bit about some of the fun that you guys had back then racing NASCAR.
Oh, we had a great time. I really had no idea that I'd ever be in NASCAR or participate, but a friend of mine, his name was G.C. Spencer, an old-time racer, used to drive for Richard Petty. He came by one day and offered me to buy his car. He was just had a one car. It was a number 4, and that was in 1983. We bought his race team, which listed or comprised of one car, 3 motors, some transmissions, some rear ends, a trailer, and an old van to pull it with. That's what I bought, and we started out. So we hired Mark Martin in 83, and he drove for me, I think about 4 or 5 races. 84, we had Joe Redmond. That was their first sponsorship, partial sponsorship, or partial year of sponsorship. That was Folgers Coffee. Then we went on to, in 86, and I did about 10, 15 races for Kodak, and then that started us a long-term deal with Kodak. So we've had, the hardest thing to do is like anything else is to learn how to win. Learn what it takes. I mean, there's no magic. Everybody can buy cars, and everybody can buy motors, and everybody can buy drivers, and all, but you got to learn how to win. And it took us, we were close a few times, but it took us 1990 at Bristol in the night race, and Lord, was it it's a wonderful night. Of course, Eastman Kodak Company is located here in Kingsport, and we had a tremendous amount of fans there and a lot of color, and we ran good. Of course, beat Rusty for the win at that night race, and then we went on with Ernie and went to the Daytona the following year, and in 91 and won that. I don't think it was a real popular deal with NASCAR, but it certainly really kicked our career off, and we've all been known as speedway racers. But we won Daytona 500 3 times.
Wow!
once with Ernie and 2 times with Sterling, and then we won Talladega several times, and we won the Firecracker race. So that took care of the Speedway stuff, but we won at Sears Point and Watkins Glen. We won at Darlington. We, of course, won at Bristol, and we won at Martinsville. So we had a good run, and we were a single-car team. And we didn't really want to get big. So we didn't go for multi-car operations. So we stayed here up away from the hub of racing, which is Charlotte, North Carolina. And that probably hurt us some. But I'm proud to be from up here, and the people in Southwest Virginia and East Tennessee really supported us as far as our fans were concerned. And I don't know why we were successful. I mean, we tried to work hard and smarter, harder and smarter, because we didn't have the sponsorship, the amount of sponsorship that a lot of these other teams had. But we certainly had some success. We're thankful for it. Maybe had I given the good Lord more praise for it, it would have lasted longer, but it was about time for me to step back anyway. So it was good for a while.
Well, certainly good for a while. And you talk about sponsorships and the challenges. I mean, racing is so expensive. It was back then. It's even more so now. And these sponsorships, you guys having Kodak as a major brand, those bright yellow shirts with the Kodak brand on there certainly didn't hurt. And really, my hat's off to you guys and what you did with your team. No small feat, for sure. Now, over the time, you've amassed a group of some pretty darn cool cars. And we're going to dive into the later part of our show here today about your fascination, your passion for cars. Obviously, you've got one. But let's talk a little bit about this collection. This is pretty poignant to what's happening right now. Guys like you and me that have been around for a while, we get to a point in time where we're ready to let some of our cars go, all our cars go. Things change in life, whatever it might be, downsizing, or it's just too much to manage, or, it's time to let a new caretaker care for these vehicles. As I look through the Mecum Auctions website, and I'll put a link to that, to all these cars, you've got a pretty eclectic group of vehicles here, and a few of these cars really kind of stand out cool to me, especially as a racer. I look at the 64 Chevrolet Chevelle 300, which obviously has a little bit bigger motor in it. The 454 Chevelle SS, which has a bigger motor. Got a beautiful 66 Corvette. At this point in time, what's inspired you to let these cars go and move into a next phase in your life?
Well, the exciting thing for me was to find these cars or trade for them, which we did. We did both, but find them and then the ones that needed restoring, we'd restore them. And you got to hunt for parts and do the things that I enjoyed doing, and then I enjoyed working on them. And I have done about everything to these cars. I've had a couple of people. My uncle helped me restore him. He was my body man, and then had a gentleman, Billy Brownlow, was my shop foreman when I was racing, and he's been the fabricator on anything we needed fabbed on these cars. And it was just exciting, but I had them, and I've taken care of them, and we had them in our museum there at the race shop, and I thought it was time to let somebody else get these cars, because I know they're really good cars, and they're really going to enjoy having them.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, it's a lot less expensive to purchase a car like this than it is to build one.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
Somebody gives you something. If you want a real nice car, it'll cost you $75,000 to $100,000 easy in a restoration. So
yeah,
I thought it was time. I'm almost 77, and my wife said, "Larry, you need to sell some of these cars." So you'll I don't know if you've got a collection. You'll hear that, but
yeah, I've heard that already, and I'm not quite 77 yet.
but it'll give me a little space.
Yep.
To continue doing what I'm doing. I know I'll continue having these old classic cars and working on them until I die, I guess. And that's something I'm real thankful again and blessed to be able to do that. Have the means to do it, and then have the will. If you don't have a desire for anything, you can't do it. You can't enjoy it. So I'm thankful for that, you know.
Well, I'll tell you something, Larry. As I look through this collection of cars, and as I mentioned, it's a bit eclectic. There's a lot of cool stuff. But one thing I notice is almost all these have big motors in them. And a guy that's a racer, I mean, I can see a trend going on here. There's a beautiful 72 Chevrolet Cheyenne C10 pickup, which those things are just kind of classic with a 454. I mean, it just goes on and on. And maybe what we should do here is touch a little bit on maybe a couple of these cars that kind of stand out for you. Cars that you'll look back when they cross the block and the next caretaker puts a big smile. You put a big smile on his face and he drives away that you'll kind of go, oh yeah, I remember that one. So can you pick maybe one or two of these vehicles you're letting go? And just, you don't have to go in depth, but just maybe tell a story about each of those.
Well, yeah, I can. We'll start with a 57 Pontiac. And I think it is one of the nicest, beautiful car that I have. It's and you know, cars back then had personality, and it's got the cream colored top and interior, and down the side and on the hubcaps.
That's the Star Chief, right?
It's the Star Chief, and it's got leather in seats, and it is gorgeous. I sent my nephew up to Pennsylvania. We found it up there, and he brought it back, and of course we framed off, and it's a gorgeous car. And then I've got a 57 Nomad. I think it's real gorgeous. It's a red, a different red, not bright red like most of these.
It's kind of an orangey red, a little bit.
Yeah, it's a 57 Chevrolet red, and it's a 2.4 barrel car. Most everything I got, they've got big motors in them. And then there's a 56 Mercury that my dad had a Mercury franchise back in 1956, and we found this car in Colorado, Denver. My cousin lives out there, and he called me about it, and I said, send it to me. And listen, I'd get in and drive it back to Colorado today. I wouldn't have a car you couldn't drive. And so these cars, all of them drive good, and they're not just cars to be towed behind the trailer or whatever, but they all do run. And then I got a 64 Ford. It's an R-code 427-24 car, and it's an XL, real pretty blue outside with a white interior, and it is gorgeous. And you mentioned that 72 Chevy pickup. I bet there's not a nicer one. I'm talking about from the bottom to the top. And then I've got a 66 Ford pickup. It's got a 427 4-speed.
That the F100, the red one?
It's a red F100, and it is drop dead beautiful. They're hard to find, and it's nice, really nice.
Yeah, there's some really, really cool stuff here. You mentioned that Ford Galaxy 500 XL. I see a little trend here on some of these cars that are two-door coupes that back in the day, the four-door versions were pretty plain Jane, but the two doors, they put some big motors in them, and then you've done some really nice things. That 63 Biscayne. They're nice stuff.
And there's the 54 Chevy convertible. When Ernie was driving for me, we were in Sonoma. I think the weekend we won Sonoma out there with him, and one of his friends said, "Hey, I got a 54 Chevy that's been taken apart, convertible. Would you be interested?" And I bought that thing, and I've had it since then. It's a California car, great car. So, and the motor in it. When we won the 500 in '94, I told Chevrolet, I said, "Look, I need a new motor for my 54 Chevy." So they pulled me one off out of the plant and sent it to me, and it's got a new Corvette engine in it, but it's a '94 model, but it's a great car. A lot of these things, even that there's a little 40 Ford convertible.
Yes,
it's original that is beautiful. It's perfect. And then I got a hot rod 40 Ford black one. It's beautiful. If you see them, you'll like them.
Yeah, they're definitely very, very cool. I'll make sure to put a link to this, or you can just go to Mecum and you'll see their Kissimmee auction, the stated to start January 7th through the 16th. You can go, you can sign up, you can bid on these cars. They're all no reserve cars, which is actually pretty darn cool. But I'm glad that I'm able to bring some of these to my listeners' attention and hear from the words of the guy who had them and drove them how special they really are. Let's take a short break. We'll thank our sponsors. We come back, Larry. I want to dive into kind of your personal passion for cars and so forth, and we'll touch on a few more of these cars for sale. So sit tight, keep your seatbelts on. We're running with an old NASCAR guy here. We're having some fun talking about some cars he's going to let go that you can get your hands on. So sit tight. We'll be right back. Let's step away from the conversation and talk about our charity of choice here at Cars Yeah, America's Automotive Trust. America's Automotive Trust is a group of like-minded nonprofits that are working together to preserve and promote car culture across the country. Together, they provide scholarships and grants to aspiring technicians and restoration artists. They provide youth education programs and bring communities together through auto-related events, car shows, and drives. Among these nonprofits is Techforce Foundation, a great organization dedicated to solving the technician shortage that threatens the transportation industry today. By providing career development resources and increasing awareness and enthusiasm for the tech profession, Techforce is bringing bright young students into the auto, diesel, aviation, marine, motorcycle, motorsports, and restoration worlds. To date, they've awarded more than $10 million in scholarships and grants to tech students. And in times like these, I don't have to tell you how essential those techs are, keeping our delivery and emergency vehicles running and keeping America rolling. To learn more about Techforce or to make a donation to this cause, visit www.techforce.org. You'll be glad you did. What do you do after running a race team for 27 years with over 100 professional wins, multiple wins at the 24-Hour of Daytona, and a win at Le Mans? Well, if you're Kevin Buckler, a racer and the racing group's team owner, you create Adobe Road Winery. Located in Petaluma, California, he and his team have created a winning combination with the Racing Series, 4 ultra-premium red wine blends that are in a class of their own. Like racing, these wines comprise of art, precision, engineering, science, and a whole lot of fun. You can choose from 4 blends titled Redline, Apex, Shift, and the 24. Today I'm going to tell you about Redline. It's a rich and complex blend delivering a taste of ripe blackberries, black cherry licorice, and a hint of toasty oak. An added very cool option is that this features the world's first interactive wine label. That's right. When you pour the wine, the 3-dimensional tachometer actually hits the red line. It's incredible. The Racing Series is a killer gift for the automotive enthusiast in your life, and I've got a deal for you. If you use the code CARSYEAH, all one word in all caps, when you go to checkout, you'll get $10 off any purchase of wines from the Racing Series. The wine ships promptly and arrives quickly right at your door. Use the code CARSYEAH at checkout for $10 off of your purchase today. There's always a seat at the table for excellence with the Racing Series. Go to adoberoadwines.com and use the code CARSYEAH to save $10 today. Cheers! All right, we're back. I want to dive back into your history here a little bit, Larry, and talk about a story that instigated this passion you have for cars. Can you think back to that pivotal moment when you decided, you know what, I'm a car guy?
Well, I used to lay down in the seat of my daddy's car. I'd sneak outside and turn on the radio, and I'd listen to NASCAR races. And that was in about 1955, and Dad, at that time, Dad had an part ownership in a Packard franchise, and I'd go with him, and he'd sell cars, and we'd deliver them, and it was a fun thing, but getting in one, and it's got a little more horsepower, and you could feel and see the differences. And back then, in those days, when the new cars come out each year, they had a big showing, and they'd keep them under wraps and in secret. And it was just the mystique about it, just got me. And then when I started driving, of course, I wanted to see how much each one of them would do every time I got in it. So that caused a little trouble from time to time, but
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. There's nothing like going fast. So I don't know. I guess that's the reason. My first car that I owned was a 47 Ford Coupe, had a Mercury motor in it. I paid $50 for it. It smoked. I went up and picked it up from a guy and drifted it off a hill, and it started up after sitting there for a year.
Wow.
And it built the battery. The generator built the battery up, and it started, but it sure did smoke. But I love that thing, and I don't know. I drive it too fast, and the hood seemed to blow up. And I put about 3 or 4 hoods on it.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, a good time.
Yeah, it sounds like you had some good times for sure. Now, I always ask my guests a bit of an introspective question. It's a little bit bizarre, but we'll see where we can go with this. I ask people, if you woke up tomorrow and you were a car, you were actually manifest as a car. This isn't what you want to be. It's your personality, the kind of things that you have done in your life, perhaps into a car, manifest in a car. Is there a car that comes to mind for you, Larry?
Well, I don't know what I would be, but I would be something fast. And I had a good stance about it, and, was easy to look at. That's the kind of things I'd be. Now, I don't know which one that would be. I've got at home, I've got a 61 Ford Starliner.
Yeah.
It's got 30-some thousand miles on it, and it's a 390 4-speed car, and it's gorgeous, and I really like it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. I don't know what I'd be, but a lot of these people would probably go for one of these new Mustangs or Challenger or something like that. But I'm old. I like the old big stuff.
I think we'll call you a Starliner today. How does that sound?
Oh, that sounds good.
Does that sound good?
I really enjoy that car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Larry. When I look at the cars that you're letting go, and I know this could be kind of tough, but is there one vehicle that really stands out for you that you kind of go, maybe I shouldn't let that one go?
Well, there's about two. Yeah, there's several of these. That 66 Ford pickup, I just finished it, and it is beautiful. And that is one of the vehicles. And I don't know, the 57 Pontiac, and I did that. Kind of had a lot of personal work on it, and then that black 40 Ford Coupe.
Yeah.
I think some of them listed as a moonshiner's car, but it is gorgeous too. I mean, they all are, but you just kind of like certain things. There's a sharp little red fastback Mustang there that really is. So I tell every one of them is nice.
I knew this would happen if I asked you that question. It's like asking what your favorite child is. You just can't do it, right?
Yeah. And then I got, if I want to get in something to run, I got a 68 Biscayne that's got one of our engines in it, our SB2 engines that we raced, and it's a dry sump car, and it's easy to drive and fun to drive, and you'd pay $100 just to follow it down the road and just listen to the exhaust on it. I mean, and you can back it up and it just shakes the car all over. I mean, it's a nice driving car.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Let me ask you a couple quick questions here, Larry. If you could describe one of your personal habits in life, maybe some kind of thing that you do every day, a ritual of some kind, or something that you think has contributed to your success over the years, what would it be?
Well, before I go to sleep at night, I like to say a prayer, and when I get up in the morning, I'd like to say another prayer.
There you go.
And I've got a little prayer book that I like to use every day, but I think that kind of gives you some firm footing to stand on anytime you can listen to Jesus' words. And that's the best book that I've ever seen, and and I'd recommend that book to anybody.
There you go. Awesome.
The Bible. So
yeah.
That's the kind of thing.
Okay. Now, if I could arrange for you to sit down and enjoy a drink or a meal with anyone in the automotive industry, and this is somebody that could be living or someone who's passed, who would that person be?
Yeah,
that's a tough one.
Yeah. Well, I've known a lot of people.
Yeah, no kidding.
In the automobile industry. You know, I think Lee Iacocca would have been a guy that I would have liked to sit down with. And I don't know a lot about him, but he was always interesting, and he was an innovator. And I think he did a good job. But, you know, and you read and you look at all these stories from Henry Ford, he was an interesting cat.
No kidding.
Yeah, you know, he started this thing kind of, so that'd have been interesting to listen to him. I bet they were tough guys, don't you?
I'm imagining they were very tough guys, but wouldn't it be interesting to have a meal with both of them at the table? Somebody from the first starts and then Lee Iacocca came along. I mean, that would be you might end up with a little bit of a brawl going on, but it would be interesting to be a fly in the wall and just listen to that.
And then I never did get to do this. I should have, but I'd like to sit down with old Smokey Unick one time and listen to some of his tales, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll add him to the meal. How does that sound?
Yeah.
That'll be a contentious meal. Now, when it comes to automotive advice, has there been some great advice that perhaps someone offered to you? Now, this could tie into collecting cars, restoring cars, racing cars, some kind of piece of wisdom someone shared with you that really worked?
Well, the thing, I guess, my whole life is if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember it.
Yeah.
And it always works, you know. If you tell the truth, you're buying a car. If you tell the truth, you're selling it. If you're trying to get a part from somebody, and I think being truthful is a easy tool to use and a tool that the good Lord gives us, and you know. And it doesn't cost you anything to say thank you.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. My mom used to tell me that one. She would drive me crazy because I'd say, oh, darn, I just was trying to remember something and now I don't remember. And she said, well, it must have been a lie. And I'd always go, well, why would I going to tell you a lie, Mom? She goes, because if you always tell the truth, you never have to remember it. And to this day, I remember that. And it always kind of rubbed me a little bit. But you know what? I still remember it. So I try to be very truthful with everything that I do. Now, I always ask my guests for a great resource. Today, I'm going to list Mecum Auctions because, again, we're talking about this collection of 27 vehicles that Larry's letting go. Make sure I put a link to that. If you have any interest in this, go check it out. I've already been promoting it a bit on my social media sites, but check out Mecum Auctions, and you can bid on one of these cool cars. So, Larry, we're coming up to the checkered flag. You've been here many times being a race-winning team owner. Here's a very difficult question, I imagine. I'm going to buy you a very cool collector car today. But there are a couple rules since I'm the sponsor. And as you know, having had sponsors, they do have rules. I have a couple rules to this game I'm going to play with you that might make your answer a little bit challenging. One is, it's the only collector car you can have. That means you can only have one parked in the garage. Everything else has to go. The other one is, I want you to drive it and enjoy it. No garage queens or dust collectors, but I don't think that's a problem for you. But here's the other part of it, is you can't sell it once I buy it for you and buy back all the cars you had to let go. That little trick is off the table. So if it narrowed it down to just one special collectible car, we'll just say for today, Larry, for a guy who has had so many cool cars, what could I buy you?
Oh, good gosh, that's a good question. You know, I don't know. This probably sounds weird, and I'm getting older, and it's harder for me to get in and out of cars. I can't get into Corvettes like I used to. If I wasn't getting so old, I'd say a 61 Corvette. A 62 Corvette.
Oh, yeah.
I always liked a 62, and you know, they had some of the characteristics of a 63, but I would say you could get me one of these. Didn't I just see I'd say one of those Mustangs that I've been seeing going through the Mecum for all bringing out $2-3 million.
Oh, are you talking now? Okay, let me think. You mean, are you talking about a Mustang that brings 2 or 3 million? Are you talking about the Ford GT?
The Ford GT 350 or the 350 or one of those white 65 Mustangs that just went through the auction here not long ago.
Okay. I'm going to have to call them up and get the right car dialed in for you so I can deliver the right car to you.
That would be cool. I haven't been able to find one. They were R code cars in 1965, and they didn't make many of them. But I thought that would have been.
I see. I know what you're talking about. All right. Well, listen, I'll get to work on that. See if I can find you one of those things. I know our friends at Mecum, they get their hands on a lot of very cool cars. They can find cars for us. So I have no doubt they'll come through for us. Larry, you've taken me on a very fun ride today, my friend. And, you know, us car collectors, we want to thank you for letting some other people be the caregivers of these wonderful cars that you've collected, you've restored, you've had as part of your life. That's what the great thing about car collecting is. We're just caretakers. The cars go on and we change. So I want to thank you that. Before I let you go, though, could you offer me one little parting piece of wisdom or guidance before you drive off into the sunset in that R-Code Mustang?
Well, always give the good Lord praise and glory for your life, and you'll never go wrong.
There you go. Words of wisdom. I'll make sure, again, I put links to the auction here on Larry's show notes page. Go to carsyeah.com. Just type in Larry McClure. His page will pop up, or just go to the Mecum website and you'll find all these cars. Maybe you're going to be one of those lucky people that gets to get their hands on a McClure vehicle and take care of it for the next generation to come. Larry, this has been wonderful. I really want to thank you for spending some time with me today. Until you and I talk again, I'll see you down the road.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you, my friend. Are you looking for a way to get your products or services into the ears of thousands of automotive enthusiasts around the globe? I can help. This is Mark Green here at Cars Yeah, and I'd be honored to be an influencer and ambassador for your brand in a unique and personal way. 5 days a week, thousands of subscribers and listeners enjoy the Cars Yeah podcast and website. Contact me today and I'll show you how at mark@carsyeah.com or connect with me through the Cars Yeah website at carsyeah.com.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.